Welcome to this episode. Today we uncover one of history's greatest untold stories, the DNA test that cannot prove you're Cherokee and never could. Built on real, verifiable facts, population geneticists and Indigenous studies scholars have publicly and repeatedly established that commercial ancestry tests cannot determine tribal citizenship because tribal enrollment is a political and genealogical status, not a genetic one. No single Cherokee gene exists. This is accurate, mainstream science, not speculation. There is a test that over 1 million Americans have taken specifically to answer one question: am I Cherokee? None of those tests can actually answer it. Not because the science isn't good enough yet, because the question was never a genetic one to begin with. This is not a story about ancestry testing. It is a story about what happens when an entire industry sells people an answer to a question that science was never built to answer, and what the real answer turns out to be instead. For over a decade, commercial ancestry companies have offered some version of the same promise. Spit in a tube, and within weeks, a breakdown of your ancestry will tell you, among other things, your percentage of Native American heritage. Some reports go further, naming specific nations. Cherokee shows up more often in these reports than any other tribal name in America, by a wide margin. The explanation seemed simple enough. DNA carries ancestry. Ancestry can be traced to populations. Populations can be matched to known groups. If your report says 2% Native American and family stories point to a Cherokee ancestor, the math seems to close the loop. But population geneticists have been saying something different for years, and it rarely makes it into the marketing copy. There is no such thing as a Cherokee gene. There has never been a genetic marker unique to Cherokee ancestry, distinct from every other indigenous nation in North America. Here's why. Commercial ancestry companies don't compare your DNA to the Cherokee Nation. They can't. The Cherokee Nation, like every other federally recognized tribe, does not submit its citizens' genetic data to consumer testing companies for exactly this reason. What the companies compare your sample to instead are broad reference panels, statistical composites built from small numbers of self-identified indigenous participants across the entire Americas, from the Arctic to Patagonia. The Native American category on a consumer DNA report isn't a nation. It's a continent-wide genetic signature, tens of thousands of years old, inherited by every indigenous population in the hemisphere, Cherokee and Comanche and Inca alike, because they all descend from the same founding migrations. 3 explanations tend to circulate for why the Cherokee name specifically keeps surfacing in these reports, and each one is only part of the picture. The first is historical. The Cherokee Nation was one of the largest and most documented tribal nations in early American history, forcibly removed along the Trail of Tears, with descendants scattered across the country in the generations since. Family oral history naming a Cherokee ancestor is extremely common in American families, sometimes accurately, sometimes as a folk explanation for unexplained ancestry that got attached to the most well-known tribal name available. The second is statistical. Consumer test results reporting a small percentage of Native American ancestry are, in a meaningful number of cases, statistical noise, the algorithm's best guess when working with limited reference data, not a confirmed lineage. The third is the one researchers are most careful about saying plainly, because it lands hardest. For some users, a small Native American percentage on a consumer report reflects real ancestry, but ancestry that has nothing to do with the Cherokee Nation specifically, and everything to do with the industry's incentive to name the most recognizable tribal name in the country, rather than say Indigenous American origin unknown. Imagine opening your results and seeing the words 2% Native American, likely Cherokee. Imagine believing for the first time that a piece of your identity had just been confirmed by science. Now imagine a geneticist telling you, gently, that the test cannot actually know that, not because your ancestry isn't real, because the question you asked was never one your DNA could answer. Here's the twist that changes how you have to read the entire story. Tribal citizenship in the United States has never been a genetic category. It is a political and genealogical one, determined by each sovereign nation according according to its own citizenship rules. For the Cherokee Nation, direct descent from an ancestor listed on a specific historical roll, not blood quantum tested in a lab, not a percentage on a consumer report. A documented family line, recognized by a government, the same way citizenship works everywhere else in the world. This is not a technicality, it is the entire point. Treating tribal identity as something a lab can confirm or deny quietly erases the fact that Cherokee identity is a matter of nationhood, of a government, a citizenry, and a sovereignty that predates the United States itself. Reducing that to a percentage on a spit test doesn't honor the history, it flattens it, which means the real finding here isn't genetic. It's about what we've let an entire industry teach millions of people to believe identity is. A number, verifiable, purchasable, private. And what the Cherokee Nation and the scientists who study this honestly keep saying back is something older and harder to put in a report. Identity is not something a test can confirm alone. It is something you belong to or you don't, decided not in a lab, but in the same way it always has been, by a people and their own history of who they are. The truth about Cherokee ancestry was never sitting in the DNA. It was never supposed to be. It was always in the roll, the record, the nation, and the DNA was only ever going to tell you where your ancestors stood 10,000 years ago, not who you get to call yourself today. Thank you for watching, and make sure you subscribe to Bloodline Explained so you don't miss our next upload.